Hey guys, Joe here. So this is, I don't even have my watch on me. So it is Monday, I don't know, the 18th or something of November. So heading home for the day. Only one video today because I didn't have to drive and pick up my son. And so anyway, really not much going on. Had my daily meeting with my assistants. And so the one thing that she's doing really well, so we have Mike and Kaya. So Mike was the first person, this is one I talked about before, doing all the video editing and stuff like that. And Kaya is the one that just came on board to help actually keep us organized. And so one of the things I told her about, so I think she's going to end up getting the book and we're going to end up actually implementing, is that there's the book from Dan Martell. It's called Buy Back Your Time. So in the book, they have this thing called it's like a time audit. And so what you're supposed to do is basically for a week or 2 weeks, go through and every like 15 minutes, just document like what you did, right? And so the goal is to figure out where your time's going and like to make sure you're not just wasting your time. Because a perfect example is this stupid my office, where I talked about it numerous times where I'm changing everything. Now it's like I'm messing with the ceiling. And looking back, should I have done that? No, should have just did other things. So now it's kind of like I'm having her set this thing up and holding me accountable to it, because at this point, if I know someone that's actually physically looking to see what I'm doing throughout the day, probably like less likely to do dumb shit is what it comes down to. And I think, and I've heard this before, a lot of times we don't need more information. We already know what we need to do. We just don't do it, right? So instead of like learning more stuff, it's finding people that can like hold you accountable. So some of the things is like going into a group, could be like a group of your buddies that you all talk about like what you're gonna do and, you know, kind of hold each other accountable that way. The other way could be like getting a coach, because at that point, if you are paying someone to coach you, and like at that point, if they're telling you to like do this, this, and this, like you're just gonna, more than likely, you're gonna do it. So that could be helpful. Other than that, like I said, not much getting done today. There was an issue with one of the websites for one of our contractors. There was like errors. I'm not quite sure what was going on there, but we got that fixed. I had this GPS program that was built. I've had this happen over and over again with new developers and things like that. And like she kind of just fell off a cliff. So, not literally, but you know. And so what I was trying to have set up for him versus what we can actually do are just two different things. Because at this point, like he's getting frustrated. I don't know what the hell's going on. So it's like we're just removing all of that and just replacing all with a contact form. So that being said, so I had to spend some time on that today, because like with him being frustrated, I'm like, let me just get this done. And of course, some things weren't working. But then what we'll end up doing is using the one program, HighLevel, to pull in this information. So more than likely, what will end up happening is we'll have more systems set up for contractors, whether you buy from us or not. So we'll have that stuff set up. And the one thing I told him, and I tell everyone, it's like, he was asking like if anything else needs to change for this year or next year. We need the videos. We really need the videos. Where this guy's at, he's fortunate that there's not as much competition as where like I am. But if that starts to change, the amount that he can charge per job versus like in this area, he can charge way, way more. But if you start getting more competition and a lot of people just dropping their price and stuff like that, you're just going to end up seeing that the profit margins are just going to go way down, and they're just going to go with the cheaper price if there's no other reason not to, right? So this is where the content comes in. That being said, because of the contact form we just added using HighLevel, we're going to figure out the different things that can be done. So that way the goal is, as soon as they fill out this contact form, if we know it's for a vinyl fence or cedar or whatever happens to be, that they're automatically going to get some content based on that. Now content, it could be a pictures, could be video, it could be just text. So as far as when I say content, it could be something like an article like the 3 things you need to know about a vinyl fence versus a cedar fence, something like that. Or, do you need a permit? Or, could be like, if you're looking to get a fence on a corner lot, here's what you need to know. Just things like that. And the goal is just to build value and just help them as much as we can. And then what'll end up happening is you just end up building a relationship with the homeowner without ever talking to them. So that's where we're kind of at. So not much going on today. Trying to think what else. That's about it. I was frustrated, honestly, most of the day I was frustrated just because one of the people that we have here, they're just not doing enough. And like a lot of it, honestly, it comes down to it was my wife's fault, because I'll just complain. I'm like, I want this stuff done and it's not getting done. And then I'm like getting pushback. And then she's finally realizing that I was right, which is typically what happens 99% of the time. And which it just makes the situation harder, because at first it's like, oh, Joe's asking for too much. And it's like, no, Joe sees what's going on. And I just know if there's more room to push someone, right? So I'm not in a bad way, but it's almost being like a personal trainer. Most people think they can only handle so much, but that's just not true. A lot of times it's our brain telling us that we can't, or that we need to stop, or we have, there's nothing left in the tank, but it's really just because our brain's in self-preservation mode. So anyway, that's all I got. So we're dealing with that. My son has basketball practice for the first time, so I'm going to see about maybe getting on basketball shoes. And then he's got that tonight, so I'm going to end up going back to work probably after I drop him off, because it's 2 hours. So I'm going to try to knock out more of the ceiling, because I just want more views. Because at this point, I should have did a video from there. I just wanted to go home. But there's literally, I don't know what the hell I was thinking. I just want to strangle myself sometimes. I found it was end up being cheaper to go this route, but they have these mattress toppers that's kind of similar to the echo reducing crap that I had bought before. The only problem is, or I thought it would be easier, and it could be, but we'll see, is that they're in big sheets. So now it's going to be interesting to see how we get it up on there, because I'm trying to do it myself. So yesterday I cut all these 2x4s to the height that they need to be, so basically I can glue parts of it and then prop it up, and basically it'll just stay in place with that. So we'll see what happens. I'm sure something's going to go wrong, so is what it is at this point. So anyway, hope you guys are doing well, and talk to you soon. Bye. I didn't plan on doing another update, but I am on my way to pick up my son from school, and I just had thought of something. So I was finishing up the one panel for the roof in my office, the thing that I just don't want to do anymore, and I've talked about that earlier today. However, the one thing, we were doing a meeting today with Mike and Kaya, and we were talking about past projects I was having Mike do, and they were 80% done, and we just never did anything with them, right? And so there was this project that actually he had completed, and we just never did anything with it. I don't know if you can relate to this, but if you are or have the tendency to start a million different projects and it's you just never get them done, that's how I feel all the time. Literally all the time. There's so many projects that were 3/4 done, 90% done, or they were even 100% done. I'm finding out today, and we just never do anything with them, right? And I'm really hoping that the new assistant Kaya, that's kind of the missing link. I know Alex Hormozy says there's no magic bullet, just 100 golden BBs. But for someone like me, that I'm always on one thing. I feel for me, I kind of just need someone to almost babysit me, is what it comes down to. And so if you're in the same boat, I'm going to kind of document how everything's going. But it's only been, last week was the second week, but there's a lot of stuff getting done, a lot. And my hope is that she just keeps on whatever we've already been working on, we keep on doing that, but then we keep on incorporating we're implementing new things, right? So some of those are working on the software for, first started with the contractors that buy from us, and then we will start expanding that to other people. There might be where we're testing things out, because there's a lot of stuff with AI that is coming around, and it's coming very quickly. And unless you're spending a lot of time learning about the stuff and taking that and actually implementing it, it's just never going to get done. And the one fear I have for most people, well, I guess it's on both sides, but the ones that take this technology and just run with it consistently for, weeks, months, years, they're going to be so much further ahead than everyone else. It's just going to be absolutely crazy, because it's like it's not even like just adding one person. This thing it'll be the equivalent of adding like an entire team. So that's what the next steps are. There's just a lot of different projects that have been started that were never completed, things that I promised for other people that I just was running out of time, things like that. And again, my hope is with Gaia that we follow through on the promises. If I say I'm going to do something, typically I do what I say I'm going to do, but then it's like, I'm like, oh, we could do this, we could do this, we could do this. And then it's like I mention it to people, and then it's like, oh, like at that point, for me, it's just like a bunch of random ideas that are coming to me, but they're expecting that it actually happens all the time. So that's my hope. And so basically now just getting caught up, getting the systems in place. You'll start seeing that there's more and more content. That's one of the things that you'll see more and more from us. And then hopefully with the structured type content that you haven't really seen from me yet, that's the one we're working on right now. The first piece is structured content. And so the goal is, instead of just taking videos like this where it's like, oh, I thought of this random idea, let me start talking about it. There's that structure in place. It's like, all right, what are we talking about? And then, having that script done, having an idea for what the headlines are going to be, the thumbnails are going to be, and all that kind of stuff. And we just went through the first round where it's like, okay, I took what their script was and just did that for now. And then we'll basically take that and then fine tune it, from them watching it themselves and be like, all right, this is engaging, this is boring, this, I think it would be better if we do this, looking at the images or the animations or things like that, and then seeing how we can make it either clearer, more like simpler, and then also taking things that maybe I took a minute and a half, 2 minutes to explain, and then it's like, how can we just have a picture that shows the same thing? Or how do we get it from, a minute, 2 minutes, whatever, down to like 30 seconds? Or how do we take this more difficult concept that's taken a few minutes to explain and just have a metaphor instead, so that way it just clicks? So you'll see that the goal is, I think, the 25th or something, 25th, 28th, something like that, for that to be released. But at this point, I do go on vacation in a few days. So they're supposed to have that to me soon, I think by tomorrow. And then we can start looking at that and fine tuning it, things like that. There's also the presentation I've been working on, so that I have to get it, I have to get this room done, office done at this point, so that way I can just focus on the other things. But this presentation I'm working on is how to book, or how to get more leads, book more jobs, and without competing on price. And so I'm basically doing the same thing. So I did the first one, and then taking those concepts and same thing. How do we make it more engaging? And then how do we simplify the subject as much as we can? Because the goal for me is to take something that would be a 25, 30, 40 minute presentation and get it down to like 5 minutes. So, but still convey the same information, if not more so, right? So that's where we're kind of at this point. And I'm trying to think what else. So I was watching this, my wife put it on. Of course she puts the shit on and then she falls asleep immediately. So she put on a Christmas movie, and it's the first one that Like, it's the first one of the season. It's mid-November, and I'm like, I don't really feel like watching Christmas movies already. And neither did my son, but she's like, there's nothing else. We were starting late, so she's like, we might as well just watch it. Fine. And then, of course, 5 minutes later, she falls asleep. So it was I forget, it's like Candy Cane Lane or some shit. So it's with, is it Eddie Murphy? Might be Eddie Murphy. Yeah, I think it's Eddie Murphy. So anyway, it's this, they're competing to have like the best Christmas decorations or whatever, and they keep on driving past this one sign, and it's basically to foreshadow everything, but it says the, comparison is the theft of joy. And it's so true. I spend all this time that it's like, I'm gonna build this billion-dollar company, and then now, for a while, weeks, I was spending, there was a lot of time throughout the day where I was constantly looking at where I was, comparing it to where I want to be, and I'm like, oh my God, like, it's kind of nice putting that pressure on you, because I'm like, oh my God, there is so much shit we got to get done, and it's like I'm piling like legit 2 years worth of shit that needs to get done into like 4 weeks, and it was driving me insane. I just was not happy whatsoever, and it's because I was comparing where I wanted to be, instead of just being happy for the things that we have accomplished. And what Kaya did, which was really great, I think I talked about it earlier, but we did a weekly recap on today, and basically she had listed all the stuff that was done last week, and then it was all, I'm trying to think what else was in there. Things like, how can we improve? What are the things that we can do better? That kind of stuff. And so I knew like shit was getting done, but I didn't realize like how much stuff was getting done. And it was just nice seeing all that. And I'm like, oh. But anyway, that was about it so far. I'm trying to think what else happened. Yeah, I can't think of anything else. I think that's all I got. But yeah, if you haven't seen any of my content before, I'll leave it at this, and I feel like I'm going to be like Bob Barker, that he always says, remember to spay and neuter your pets. And I'm going to say, don't forget to shoot your content and post it, please. And then you'll also see I recorded it yesterday, I think. So they got to do the edits for it. But I did make a video on how to use Canva for your video editing, if you want to end up using that. Again, you don't have to. I think people put too much thought into like, the video's got to look a certain way, it needs this kind of production value, I need this stuff in there, and like, it's just not true. I think I'd posted videos before from when I used to own the fence installation company, and I'm telling you, like, they really worked well. And these are like, at this point, when I created those videos, I don't even know at this point, that was probably like 200 videos before like this video. So if this is video number 400, like I had only posted, actually probably even less than that. There's probably like 150, 100 videos or something that I posted. So that's like 250, 300 videos less experience that I had. It's just 75% less experience with creating videos and stuff like that. And they still, like, looking back, I'm like, oh, these look like crap. But I'm telling you, it worked back then, and it will 100% work now. I think it'll end up working better now than it did back then, because back then with Google My Business and stuff like that, people were more in tune with that stuff. You're more likely to have, if you focus on that stuff, you're more likely to have a lot better reviews than everyone else, whereas now everyone focuses on that stuff, and people put more weight towards those reviews as well. Whereas now I think it's less so, and no one does this stuff. They just don't. You have a handful of people that do, and because of that, they are kind of the local, I don't want to say hero, but like the local celebrity. And one of the guys, or one of the companies, actually I saw their sweatshirt the other day. I almost said something to the guy, but it's Premier Outdoor Living. They do a really great job on content, and looking at it though, it looks so professional, but actually, believe it or not, a lot of the stuff that they're doing is like basic camera work, or it's like using You could end up using like a Insta360. Now I didn't like how much it degraded the videos and things like that, but there's an Insta360. They made the X4 version, and that one is, it's like 8K. Now it sounds like crazy amount, but it's also a 360 camera, so like 8K, I don't know what that equates to for whatever. But they do a lot of time-lapse videos and stuff like that, but instead of just a normal time-lapse that's like straight on, it's like panning through. And the nice part, because it is 360, you literally just set it, and like you don't have to worry about where you're recording because it's going to pick up everything. The only problem with that is you do have to go through the editing process, because it's not like you can just take the video, upload it, and be done with it. You have to go through and do the edits, but honestly, it's not even that hard, because you can do like point where it starts, like the starting point and the ending point, where it, like, you know, if it starts over here and then it's going over, you do from, you know, start and then finish, and then it does a nice slow transition while it's doing the time-lapse video. And you can do things like it's zooming in and zooming out while it's panning. So there's a lot of cool stuff you can do with it. And yeah, so there's really not much. I still highly suggest going with this, the DJI Pocket 3. I freaking love this camera. And you can do the same thing, I think, with the time-lapse videos, but it's a little bit more difficult. But the other cool thing is, which I've talked about numerous times, like, is this, oh, I'm not even active. Oh, I'm in low light mode. I'm trying a different mode because I am in, like, it was darker, so I was trying this low light mode. But anyway, what you could do is actually, I'm going like this because it normally tracks me. But I've talked about it before. If you take that, you take this, right? The microphone, and then what you can do is just set it up on a tripod or something, and then just have it track you the entire time. So I don't know if you'd be able to do a time-lapse video with that. Not quite sure. Doesn't really matter. But anyway, I would 100% do it. Like I said, even if you don't plan on, a lot of times it's easier if you're not even planning on saying anything, if you just like mic yourself up. Some people, like, you can put it on your thing here. They do make, I don't have it on me, but the magnet's in my bag, but you can have it clipped to here. Some people clip this thing to the back, to your hat like this. You can do something like this. This could end up working for you. I don't know how the audio sounds like this. And then they do make a little fuzzy thing for here in case it's windy out, but it works pretty damn well. And then even if you're not planning on saying something, even just have yourself mic'd up and recording, because at some point you're gonna think of something, you're like, and then you can just start talking. And it's easier to do, and it's less awkward, because like I said in other videos, and to me, it feels awkward if I am sitting down and planning a video. We just did it through this structured content that I was just talking about. They gave me a script, and then I am like talking through the thing, and I can just tell it's definitely more awkward. Especially for someone like me, I'm not very structured, so or planning anything out. I'm just kind of talking half the time, and so, and my memory sucks. So trying to read something. That being said, I end up getting this mount that holds my Pocket 3, and then it holds my phone as well. So anyway, I gotta go. My son's done. See ya. Bye.